Go ahead.
Got it. Okay, I should just did a screen share. You'll let me know when you can see my PowerPoint.
All good to go.
Got it. All right. Perfect. So Laticu's really inventing the future of secure content transfer, combined with workflow automation that heightens the efficiencies at scale for masses or organizations. Today, we're an established video workflow solution used by some of the world's largest broadcasters and entertainment brands to move really high quality video in massive amounts of secure data from inhospitable locations all around the globe to secure broadcast facilities in major cities. And our customers often follow soldiers to places like Afghanistan and Iraq because our customers are journalists and they're covering the news. They transfer content from the same environments where the military operates, many times over slim to no bandwidth provided by cellular, local Wi-Fi, or sat phones. Laticu automation with AI sends that video via the public internet through secure DMZs into corporate networks and the Laticu cloud. From there, the media is formatted in the exact specific way that's required by the customer. Each broadcaster is different. Think of it much the same way each military outpost would be different, and they're going to need to have content transformed, packaged, descriptive metadata, all in the exact same way that they want to receive it. And that's the way we do it today. So what we think is that our integration and asset manager and our speed, quality, and efficiency that we use every day for broadcasters for mission critical workflows because they're always on deadline. This is, hey, I've got a breaking news story where there's a protest going on that's turned violent, and it has to get, it's 4:45 and it's got to make the 5 o'clock news. So we're very, very experienced and comfortable dealing in high pressure situations with important amounts of content and metadata that has to get someplace very quickly. So we think that outside of broadcast and certainly some of our large enterprise, there's also a great use case for another industry, which would be the defense industry. Every day there's an enormous amount of content that they have to analyze and respond to, tons of incoming data, and it could be from airborne sources, it could be from a drone, it could be from a sub, and they have to make mission critical decisions. They also use this, as we're having one of our use cases, for education. So you've got multiple virtual training centers that want to have high quality 3D images in real time shared back and forth to really simulate what it's like, when you get in the battlefield. And then of course, the other one is through Stars and Stripes and communications efforts, just like broadcasters use us today. And we're actually talking with public affairs divisions from some of the Air Force bases as well. So we meet many of the military needs today. You're going to send secure content, can be from your phone, can be from Android, iOS, web, doesn't matter, to the cloud, security to the hub, the DMZ. We also have a product called Manifest that uses AI, and it's tailored for reporters in the newsroom. But we can tune that to work with the military, because what it'll do is use the AI to tag data, and it learns what is critical, and it can create critical, actionable information in real time. And it can be distributed to people via the web or to the phone. So if they've got the secure account access, they can be notified in real time on the phone. Hey, we've caught surveillance information from, half a mile up ahead. You need to be aware of this. So we think this is a really interesting use case for the military. And the final thing is a new product that we've developed that's really revolutionary called Generative, which allows, I don't care how small your bandwidth is. Right now, we maximize the bandwidth you have to transfer very large files. What Generative allows you to do is take minimal bandwidth, extremely high resolution content, and securely transfer that no matter how much internet you have. And what it does is, as it transfers, the quality grows. So the very first thing you see will be the best quality we can give you, but as it continues to transfer, the quality of the video continues to enhance. And that's patented technology. That's ours as well. So that's a quick overview of who we are. We're not a startup. We've been around since 2010. For the last 4 years, we've been profitable. We have multi-million-dollar annual recurring revenue, 59% growth in recurring revenue last year, 158% net revenue retention. And I think the thing we're most proud of is 1% churn. When a customer is with us, they stay with us. And one of the reasons for that is we are not a internet company that decided to get into the video business. We were founded by broadcasters, and we put the rigors of supporting must be available 24/7 broadcast into how we do customer support. No customer support is outsourced. There are no chat bots. When you call Laticu, you speak to a human being that understands you're in a critical situation and you need someone who can help you right now. And I think that says a lot about our churn. We're proven, we're used by the largest media companies in the world, NBC, NBC Sports. Nexstar is the largest station group in the United States. We have 112 stations of Nexstar that use it every day. NBC Sports will be doing the Olympics again, if there's an Olympics in Tokyo. They use us. We've been many awards last year. Our co-founder, Jade Kurian, was by the Women in Technology Group, was given the Futurist Award. And IABM, which is a large trade organization, actually awarded us their highest award, which was Broadcaster and Media Company of the Year last year. And our partners speak for themselves, Microsoft, AWS, and Avid. So that's who we are. Happy to answer any questions you might have. So I'll pause here if you have questions, and then I'll talk about, our process so far with the MOU. I know I went through that rapidly, but I don't want you to sit and stare at a bunch of PowerPoints because I know how much we all love that.
Don't worry, we got it. That was awesome. That was really great. Any questions for Charlie?
Cool. Let me give you a
cool.
quick 2 minutes or 3 minutes on how we've done with the MOU process. So certainly a company coming from dealing with large media enterprises and then dealing with the government, we don't have the same level of contacts we do in the entertainment industry. And I got to tell you, the Deep Showcase was amazing because you gave our co-founders, Jade and Paul, and look, they spent 20 years on TV. They do a really good presentation, way better than I did. So they did a great 5-minute presentation, and we got a lot of really good feedback from some of the attendees. And they reached out to us directly, and others I reached out through LinkedIn. So much like the coaching you've given us up to this point, I utilized LinkedIn, but I did reach out to people that actually attended the Deep Tech Showcase. And the reception has been great. I mean, within a week, we had 5 Zoom demos we did for interested parties. That's led to follow up with them. And then, as I said, we're fortunate. We started with, colonels or lieutenant colonels. And once we talked through them, everything we do, we were able to we had our video scientist on the call with us. We were able to come up with a couple of use cases right off the bat. And that led to deeper conversations. So that led to a second, where they'd bring in their TPOCs and say, okay, let's take a deeper dive on exactly what your headache is today and how can we solve that. In some cases, with the Virtual Test and Training Center at Nellis Air Force Base, it really is this need to send really high quality 3-dimensional video. In others, it's the fact that we work on mobile devices and the whole ATAC thing, because we work on Android. Yeah. I thought somebody had a question. No.
I was being enamored by it. That's incredible.
Yeah. So that, and then in another one, Hickam, it was, oh my God. So you guys can move really large amounts of data really fast. Yeah, we do. And we encrypt everything we do, because it's interesting when people think, oh, you just do video. I'm like, yeah, but video is pretty much the largest data file you're going to send. So big data is very familiar to us. It's just many times the data we're transferring happens to be a video file.
Wow, that's incredible. That's incredible. First of all, thank you for sharing. What's that? Yeah, that's fantastic. It's the first time I'm hearing it. The whole, I've heard it in parts, but I haven't heard the whole thing. So thank you so much for sharing that. Any questions for Charlie about the process that he and Laticu have undergone?
And I don't want to understate how incredibly helpful Natalie and Eagle Funding have been. Awesome. Just awesome.
Oh, that's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing
No,
feedback.
other than my heart attack this morning, they've been awesome.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Which I've already written to her. She's going to clarify and get back to you real soon. Okay.
thanks. No, it's cool. Yeah, it's, and it was really helpful. I think it was you, Tom, last week or might have been Aaron. One of you said to make sure we lead with, hey, we are, we're already into phase 2. You don't have to spend any money up front. So that was such great coaching in the last MoU Club. So we switched around our presentations, and that's what we lead with. And
Oh, that's fantastic. That was Aaron. Aaron said it last week. That's fantastic.
He's like, hey, always lead the presentation with, hey, we've already got 50K. And what's great was this guy's been a great coach at Hickam. So when we did the presentation for his larger group, he said, Charlie, let me kick it off. And the first thing he says is, you don't have to tap into any funds with these guys. You can play with some really cool technology right now. It's not going to cost you anything. And then he turned it over to us. So it was of all the great data points, man, that was the best.
Wow, fantastic.
Mhm.
Really incredible.
Mhm.
Okay, last chance for a question for Charlie. Then I want to talk about something completely different, which is a kind of a peek into a potential future, which is pretty exciting. So last chance for questions for Charlie. Okay, so apologize for anybody who has heard this already. We're gonna focus on what happens after the phase 2. Okay. Now I'm aware that we're having connectivity issues in the office. So what I want to, if you have any issues hearing me, let me know and raise your hand or just speak up because you unmute yourself. But everybody should very much so tune into what we're going to be talking about today. Now, it's not going to be necessarily relevant, but please God, it will be relevant for all of you and all your companies, which is once you win the phase 2, what next? Okay. So we know that the phase 2 is really supposed to be there to help you go from, and I'll kind of skip through a slide here because I want to show you something really important here, where you apply, you get the phase 1, you get the phase 2 with your MOU. Please God, you're successful, you get $750,000. And that's supposed to take you more or less till prototype. Now, some technologies will go a little bit faster, and some, maybe the more hardware or the more staged technologies, even if it's software related, are going to need a whole lot more to go from phase 2 to phase 3. So there's a program called StratFi, which is strategic financing, or TactFi, which is called tactical financing. 2 separate programs, 2 different dollar amounts, which could offer up to $15 million of non-dilutive government funding before you make it to your phase 3. So just you think about what we're talking about here. We're talking about where you could actually go post phase 2, where there is an option. Not every company can get it. In fact, most will not get it. But if you're not ready to deliver to your Air Force customer, there's an option for an additional program, which is now in its second iteration. It was only launched in March of last year, in 2020. But it is a fantastic program. So now I have your attention. We go back to from here, which is here's the opportunity. StratFi, or strategic financing, and TactFi is there in order to enhance the strength of your technology from going from prototype to delivering it to your Air Force customer who's waiting. It's supposed to be there to bridge the gap. It's only for AFWERX winners. Not only that, it's only for AFWERX winners that are more than 90 days into their phase 2 award. So again, please God, you're all successful and you get your phase 2s. 90 days afterwards, assuming that the next StratFi TactFi program has been opened, there is an opportunity to get additional funding, kind of a bridge round, let's call it, from government and VC sources. We'll talk about what that looks like. So we know exactly what it is. I'll kind of jump onto this next thing. We talked about the stages. And now let's look at what's been done so far. So in March of 2020, right actually as the pandemic hit the US and Europe pretty heavily. They still went forward with the StratFi program. They actually released all the information digitally over one of their AFWERX's events, and they invested a tremendous amount of money, more than $500 million, a mixture of SBIR funds, Air Force stakeholder funds, or matching government funds, they're called here, as well as over $340 million from VCs. So like I said, in order to be eligible, you need to have one AFWERX phase 2 within the previous 3 years. You need to be more than 90 days into your phase 2. And you need to meet minimum matching required from private sector partners. StratFi works the following. StratFi is the big fund, TACFi is the smaller fund. So, and StratFi as a result is a little bit more confusing. StratFi works on the formula of 1 to 1 to 2. $1 from AFWERX will be given if you can bring $1 from your Air Force customer. Remember, your technology is not ready for delivery, but it is between prototype and product, or you're on the way there and you need additional assistance in order to deliver. So if you can convince your Air Force customer or another Air Force customer to throw in $1 and you bring at least $2 from the private sector, then AFWERX will pay anywhere between 3 million to 15 million, depending on the matching funds you have. So if you do the math here, the base here is it can be $9 million lowest, which is 3 million from AFWERX, 3 million from an Air Force customer, and 6 million from a private sector. Sorry, $12 million if you do the math actually. Or it could be $15 million from AFWERX, $15 million from an Air Force customer, and $30 million from the private sector, which means it can be up to a total funding of $60 million, where 30 of it is from government. So now as you process those large amounts of funding amounts, TACFi is the same thing, but it's a simpler one-to-one match. You can get $1 from AFWERX if you bring $1 from the private sector, where AFWERX is willing to commit anywhere between $375,000 and $1.7 million, which means that you can get, as long as you get the matching funds of anywhere between $375,000 to $1.7 million from private sector funding, then AFWERX has the option to match you. Now, it's important to say, first of all, that this money is not guaranteed. One, TACFi, StratFi are open and they're paid out in a rolling basis. So if there's money left in the fund, you can get funded. But also, AFWERX doesn't have to agree to it. If they don't like your proposal, just like on an AFWERX phase 2, they don't have to fund it. But if they like your proposal and they understand the benefit that you could bring here, then either through TACFi or through StratFi, they can match funds. Now, selling this to an investor is difficult, but it's not like selling a startup that is just asking straight for money, because their money will be matched, and that's a very powerful thing. They'll be matched, but they're not going to be taken away as being a lead investor on this round. In fact, they are the lead investor. It's from a private capital perspective. They have low competition because the government's not taking any equity on it. And they know that they're investing in your technology, which is pre-vetted because the Air Force really wants to invest further in your technology and already has, and you have a tier 1 customer in waiting. On top of that, there's the aspect that your technology has a dual use property to it. Now, I didn't touch upon it here because I don't want to make it overly complex, but there's also an option for only defense related funding, which takes away the need for a private sector investment, but it involves, it's only if your technology is only defense need, which I don't think anybody here is. So now, you've already seen all the other details. So I'm just gonna show you again the stages. You know what they are. Phase 1, phase 2. If you need StratFi and TACFi, then you can up to $15 million from AFWorks sources, or a total of $60 million in Stratify, or anywhere between a match between 375,000 to 1.7 million. So up to $3.4 million total for the TAC-FI program as you deliver it to your Air Force customer. Cool. Any questions? No questions? That was totally clear? Well, all right. Perfect.
Oh, it was this'll Brady. I'll just comment. That's very, very interesting, but it's a step away from me yet. I've got to secure my phase 2 first. So I will probably be asking you tons of questions about it after I secure my phase 2.
100%. Brady, I couldn't agree with you more, but I figured it was important to know. I'm not going to, say that you have to apply for it now. The deadline is June 30th anyways, for this round, but it's going to close and it's going to open up again. And I'm, hopeful that we all are successful here and get the phase 2s. And if so, you just know that there's a potential, it's a bright future in and of further bright spot that could be even more enticing than the already very, very enticing potential future. Any other questions? Okay, so with that, this concludes our 3rd session of the MoU Club. We might do one additional session based on need, but I think right now we can say that we're concluding it with an option to continue based on need. So please still be in touch. We'll thank you for Charlie for presenting, and Aaron, who was on earlier, for supplying us with all those tips, not just today, but the days before. That's pretty much it. We'll be in touch.
Hey, Josh, quick one.
Go ahead, Tom. Yeah,
usual request, which is presented, please, if possible.
Say one more time.
Could you please send the presentation decks that you and Aaron presented?
Yeah, absolutely. From today.
Today.
Absolutely.
Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
Great. Thanks a lot.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Take care.
Thanks, Josh. Thank you, Josh. Bye-bye.
Thank you.